Good morning, everyone. For you who might not know me, I'm Michael Waring. I'm the Chairman of the HCPSL Board, and I'll be giving the first presentation this morning on board activities, basically. I do have some apologies. Has anybody got any apologies they'd like to make for anybody that couldn't be here? I have apologies from Raymond Joe, Nick Meadow, Alan Douglas, Steve, Ryan, Caleb Connolly, Ian Kemp and Bob Catter. Alright, minutes from the previous meeting, you have them in front of you. Any business arising out of those minutes? No silence has been known. Would somebody like, that was at the last AGM, like to move that the minutes be accepted as read? Robert Lyons. Somebody want to second that? Tony Christopher, thank you, Tony. Anybody against that motion? Thank you. Carried. Annual report and financial statements. The financial statement is available to anybody on request in a printed form. I think Sue has copies here. And there's a copy on every chair, is it? Okay, alright. So is there any questions about that? I know you haven't had long to read it, but it's been available for a couple of weeks now.
You want to talk about the financial statement now? My question would be,
yes,
last year was I wanted the change proceeds as a separate identity. I see you got it on, but we're saying we sold $66,000 worth of cane to the mill. Is that what we're saying?
So, let's answer your question. I'll cover some of that in my presentation. So there will be, I'll tell you, there's around about 1,300 tonne that went to the mill, and we sold about almost 1,500 tonne of cane this year. So if we do the maths, there is some cane that does go to the mill, but I'll cover that off in my presentation later.
So that figure, Lawrence, is the total cane sales?
Total cane sales.
Including what went to the mill plus?
Mill and seed.
Mill and seed. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
We obviously financial report about them, aren't we?
Yes.
Subcontractors. This year you got 911,000, and last year was 130. And it's got a flyer here and it says notes the company. Where are the notes of the company?
Yes, so Sue will have those available, Chris. We can give those. The big difference in the contractors is our externally funded project Cane. So on Project Cane, there's some big contracts there with JCU Trotwater especially, which is a major component of our financials. But we're happy to make that available, so we'll get them for you later if you wish.
So to answer your question, Chris? Well, not without seeing the notes. But
yeah. The other one, Chris, is we have an employment company that handles our HR.
There's an employment company that handles our HR. Yep, Sue's got it there. So we've outsourced our HR and workplace health and safety because our group's quite big. So we've actually got a contract group called EmploySure that actually handles all our safety matters and all our HR matters as a company. So the big contracts are the GBO contracts, and then internally in the core stuff, our internal HR and workplace health and safety, which every company needs.
Are there any other questions on the financials? I'll make that as a no. And if there is any questions that you think of in later on, please ask Lawrence is probably the primary person to go to first, and then we will check with the financial advisor, Sue. Not like a financial advisor, but Sue does all that accounting type stuff for the board. Somebody want to move that the annual report and financial statements. So is there any questions in there on the annual report? No, so that was a no. Somebody want to move the annual report and financial statements be moved or accepted as read? Robert Lyons. Somebody like to second that? Chris Bosworth. Anybody against that motion? Gary? Chairman's report. So that's next on there. I will deliver that now. So we've been through just about the videoing, so please, if you have any concerns or requests to be removed from that video, please see Rob over here. So I'll start off with something that HCPSL Board on every decision has in the back of their mind. So the mission of HCPSL, in other words, why does HCPSL exist? And that's it. It's pretty simple. It's there in black and white. It's to facilitate the increase of productivity, profitability, and sustainability of the herbal sugar cane industry by providing agronomical and technical support. That's our role. That's HCPSL's role. Our vision is to be recognised throughout the Herb District as a primary independent resource for agronomic advice and extension and support in regard of the whole of the sugarcane value chain. Our goals are achieve an annual production of 85 tonnes of cane per hectare through the activities under Target 85 program, which is something we brought in 5 years ago. Yeah. 6 years. And achieve a sustainable and environmentally sound sugarcane production system. So this is just a quick run through of activities on a video and some of the highlights. Just an introduction to who your board members are. You can see them there in their names. I don't think I need to do them now. We're all here today, so if you have any questions of the board, you can ask any one of the board members. HCPSL has two businesses within the one business. So we have core activities, which is what your levies pay for directly, and we have the externally funded activities. So we'll go through those as we go along, but these staff members here that are listed here are the members that are currently actively focused on core activities. So these are the ones that will be doing the stuff that HCPSL has done for a long time, pretty much, and that you know HCPSL for. And you'll see there that the members there are members that you'll be all familiar with, except Jason. Jason has just joined the team, and he'll be managing the seed plots. So he'll be doing the farm work, looking after the seed plots, and making sure that we end up with a good product for farmers to collect. These staff are the ones that are externally funded, or their focus on is external funding, and while they're working on their projects as their primary aim, they're also there as a valuable resource to farmers and the industry. And that's how we see them. You know, that's their objective, is to meet their milestones in their project, but they're also there because of their experience, their knowledge and their skills that can be shared with other staff and with growers, and make for a better service that HCPSL delivers. So in there we have two staff that have recently joined the team, Livia Defia, I can't say her name, and Bethany Donka. So they've recently joined HCPSL. We also have staff that are contracted to HCPSL as required. So we have an organisation, as Lawrence mentioned before, EmploySure. They help us with all our HR and workplace health and safety management. So that's become it was becoming a real issue for HCPSL for us to keep up with the current regulations and where we should be, and that we're doing the right thing by our staff. And so about 12 months ago, the board made the decision to contract EmploySure to give us advice on all those matters. And I think that's been, in the last 12 months, it's definitely been well worth it to HCPSL to be part of that, to have those people on board. Steve Roger, some of you might know Steve from previous job. He's been contacted to help with some of the management issues, some of the contracts and that sort of thing, to take that job off Lawrence, so he's freed up to do more agronomic work and that sort of thing, instead of doing writing contracts and all that sort of stuff. Michael Nash is contracted as required to under Project Cane, which you'll hear more about as we go on this morning. And his skills are in water quality extension, so he'll be helping us with that. Kim Clyden, some of you may know Kim. She's was a ABC reporter and presenter in the Rural Report in Mackay for many years. She now does freelance work, or whatever they call it, and she's doing the communications for the Project Cane project. And Andrew Wood has been and continues to help us with training of staff, and especially in the nutrient side of things. So that's good that we've got Andrew's vast experience and knowledge training the new staff and some of the old staff as well. Board highlights for 2021. Financials were duly audited and a copy is available for viewing. So that's a full copy, not just the version you see there. Full implementation of new financial system, Xero. So we've changed from what we were doing before to a modern online backed up program that makes our job as a board a lot easier, because we can see in each of the monthly reports exactly where where the costs are going. And must thank Nicole Butler from Wilmar, who's a director, who you saw before, for her advice in this matter and really getting HCPSL up to a modern financial reporting system. We've completed a 5-year budget project, which is something that's been quite, we think is quite important to the business. At the moment, we have considerable amounts of funding through external projects. That will end in 3 years. Yeah, 3 years. I think what year that'll be. Anyway, in 3 years' time, that will end, and we don't know if there will be any more external funding. We have the fear that the reef might not be the. Well, sorry, it's probably not a fear. It's probably a good thing, but we think that the reef might not be the primary focus of buying. Oh, sorry, I didn't say that. Getting votes for politicians. So we're from a HCPSL budgeting point of view, we have to make sure that we're prepared for that shortfall in that income, and that's considerable income coming into HCPSL at the moment. We've actually held the staff have held the 2021 expenses within the budget. That was quite a challenge to the board and to the staff, because we haven't had a levy rise in 7 years. And we'll talk a bit more about that further on. And the 2022 budget has been approved. The levy, we haven't changed the levy for 21-22. Highlights, appointment of employee share, I talked about that a bit. Completed an expressions EA process for service provision to the companies. So when I say service provision, we're talking about people coming and preparing land or planting or that sort of thing for cutting plants in the plots. We were getting a few people interested in doing that, so we asked for expressions of interest and what they would charge, and we passed that cost on to the growers, especially with the cutting of plants. We went through that process, and we now have a list of preferred service providers for the company. Review of numerous company policies and direction, and there has been numerous, yes. And I'm talking about a lot of small things like telephone policies and that sort of thing. Review of company activities, the GPS base station program, and we reviewed that, and we've changed how that runs, and I'll leave that at that. We go into that a bit deeper later on. Our approved seed cane operations, we've had many discussions and ideas thrashed around about, and talked to a lot of people, and Lawrence has been to a few of the prod boards to see how they deliver clean seed. And we've changed our operations a bit, and I'll leave that to further in the report. But as a board, we've done a lot of thinking and a lot of research and just trying to make that operation as efficient and as user-friendly, I suppose, to you growers as possible. And of course, that's within a budget. And our RSD diagnosis operations have changed, as no doubt you all know, with the qPCR testing process now being used. Administration, I think we've sort of covered that with the financials. The levy will stay the same. It's $8.46 per hectare for each of the grower and the miller to pay. So it's a $16.92 levy per hectare. That's what HCPSL gets, and that's contracted cane supply area, I think it's called. And that, on a rough calculation, because nearly all the levies in the sugar industry are on cents per tonne, on a 4 million tonne crop, that's about 13.1 cents a tonne. So it'll be 13.2 or 5 something this year by the looks. And as I said before, it's been extremely challenging to keep the budget at the levy at that level, and still supply the services that we do. The external, as I said before, the external funding component of HCPSL is quite significant, and some of the, at the moment our big project is with Barra Reef Foundation. So, and that's of course federal government money. But we have projects with NRM groups, private companies, so agri-chemical companies, fertiliser companies to do trials for them, to run trials for them. They pay us to do that, and we believe it's a good activity for HCPSL to be involved in, because it educates the staff on the new products that are coming out, so then they can go out to farmers and say, we've seen it does this, it doesn't do that. It's a good education tool for the staff as well, seeing what happens in those trials. GOA membership covers 99% of the area, so we're pretty happy with that. That's pretty much every grower in the district is a member of HCPSL. Wilmar continues to be a member and pays matching dollar for grower funding. So every dollar you pay, Wilmar pays the same. So as a member, under core services, you receive, I just thought this year we'd go through, because there's been a bit of a confusion between what's externally funded projects and what they deliver and what core services deliver. So as a member, you receive access to clean seed, hot water treatment services, access to HCPSL base station network, cane variety advice, crop agronomy advice, fallow management advice, pest and disease management advice, weed management advice, access to extension services and activities and newsletters, field days, etc. And biosecurity services, which we, we're the first line of when there's a biosecurity issue, we're the first line, because SRA and Biosecurity Queensland notify us, and we're the ones that actually deliver that under the current system. In Queensland, under the Queensland government, Queensland Biosecurity, we are the ones that then have to bring that to the growers, so to speak, so if there's a biosecurity issue. And also basic drainage services, as you know, with the latest raining. We also supply some services where user pays or externally funded. So things like soil testing is a service we provide, and we provide that at cost. What it costs HCPSL, we provide that to you as growers. Nutrient management plans and budgets, they're in externally funded projects. EM soil mapping is an activity that core staff undertake, but we charge for that service for the growers that want to use it. Weed management plans, weed management plans are externally funded projects. Variable rate precision mapping, so one of the things Rod can help you with is if you want to easy map your block, and then Rod will help you develop and what mainly has been doing is where there's sodic patches in your paddock, he'll help you develop a variable rate application map to put gypsum where it's needed in the paddock and not put it where it is and at varying rates within the paddock. That's been working very well. It's something that pretty much was developed here in the Herbert in consultation with the university a couple of years ago. So anyway, I don't think I need to go through them all, but there's some testing things and that chemical accreditation and those sort of things that HCPSL run, but you have to pay to attend or get that service. Externally funded projects and activities. Maintaining external funding to deliver activities and maintaining technical capacity is a significant challenge. Securing funds is becoming more difficult. As I said before, that's why we've done this budget out 5 years to try and make sure that HCPSL is going to be sustainable into the future. I don't think sustainable is the right word, but financially viable into the future. So, yeah, I mean, it's great getting this external money, but securing it's difficult. And when we do secure it, our first priority is to meet those funders' requirements. They're giving us money to get a job done. We need to deliver that job, but our aim is within that delivery of that job, we're also improving our service. So improving our staff's knowledge or skills, or improving the service that we deliver to you as a grower. So getting back to our budgetary challenges, and looking at 5 years into the future, financially, as I said before, 7 years we've held the levy at the same level. CPIs have been around about 2% annually, and it's predicted to be 3.5% for 2021. Salaries are a large portion of HCPSL's budget, and hence if you just take that at 2% per year compounding over 7 years, you understand the sort of numbers that we're looking at in shortfalls in the budget. And there's other things that have gone up. Salaries aren't the only thing that's gone up. There's RSD testing costs have gone up, and I think Lawrence will go into that a bit more with the qPCR process. Originally we looked at it was $2 a sample, I think, that SRA charged, but what we didn't budget for is the considerable extra labour involved in collecting those samples, processing those samples, posting them, then losing them. Australia Post losing some of the samples. When you lose 90 samples and then you have to go out and collect the same numbers again, it becomes quite an expensive process, and that happened twice this year. So yeah, things like that. Where to from here? We're focusing on 2025, the year that I was thinking of, trying to think, and beyond. So we need to continue with that aim of the business is to keep driving productivity and sustainability in the sugar industry and the beverage region. Development of a new strategic plan. So that's what we will be doing in the next 6 months. By April next year, we will have a new strategic plan out. To do that, we will be consulting with industry between now and early next year. And when I say industry, we will be consulting with industry organisations, milling, SRA, growers organisations, but we'll also be having meetings with growers like this where we will be discussing what you want as a grower, HCPSL to be doing in the future. And if you're invited to one of those meetings, please turn up and please give us that's what we're looking for, that feedback, so that we know what you as growers will be looking for in the next 5 years.
One question, Michael. I noticed we get what percent of external funding I see in our grants for external funding we've probably doubled to $2 million. What projects coming in that?
The increase in external funding.
$1 million.
So you're asking what the increase in external funding is from?
It's basically double. Which one was that?
Project Pain is our main project, and we'll talk about that unless you want to launch it today.
The GDRF project, Robert. So that's as I said, that's a considerable, it's a large project over 3.5 years. We're about half a year into it now, 6 months into it. It was a 6-year project when they got the money, but it takes time, these things apparently. So we've got 3.5 years to deliver that. And that's a large budget. Like I said, it's quite, I think, about 5 staff members, 6 staff members, plus subcontracts to people like Top Water, who do the water quality monitoring. That's a large contract with them. That money goes out from HCPSL because, as you know, water quality monitoring is very expensive for all the testing and that sort of thing. All right, thank you very much.